Well, good evening to you. We begin tonight with hundreds of struggling Arkansas farmers pleading for emergency federal funding amid a farm economy crisis.
Channel 7's Andrew Mobley attended a meeting between farmers and federal officials earlier today in Brookland in northeast Arkansas and has more tonight. Andrew.
Almost everything that could go wrong for Arkansas farmers did go wrong this year. And it's so bad that many are facing bankruptcy or even the closure of farms that have been passed down for generations. A dismal global market and plunging commodity prices mean there's little to no hope of breaking even for many farmers, even as sky-high input costs rise because of inflation and now tariffs. Not to mention bad weather earlier in the year.
This time last year, the rice price was about 40% higher than it is now. The inputs costs have gone up, so after a horrible year last year where most farmers in Arkansas Delta lost money, this year's going to be worse.
Though President Trump's big beautiful bill provided a much needed update to safety net subsidies for farmers, they won't see those federal dollars until late next year, by which time some have projected that as many as 1/4 or even 1/3 of Arkansas farmers will face bankruptcy or be forced to leave the business amid the crisis the American ag economy is currently in. It's already taken its toll this year.
I'm a sixth-generation farmer from Newport, and we made the decision to go out this year in the spring. So my son will not be the seventh generation on our farm.
5 of my customers have committed suicide. That's how serious that this is.
Today, Arkansas farmers gathered to share their struggles with staffers from the state's congressional delegation, pleading for Arkansas lawmakers on Capitol Hill and the governor to convince President Trump to provide emergency funding to help them make it to next year.
We have to have ad hoc payments right now to make it through this year.
If there's no emergency funding this year, there will be 1 out of 3 farmers will file bankruptcy.
Their cries for help did not appear to fall on deaf ears.
We're going to take your message, we're going to get it back to D.C., we're going to do everything we can to get you the help you need.
Until the federal government steps in to save them, farmers have no one to turn to but God.
Farmers, in my opinion, dear Lord, and it's only my opinion, are closer to thee than anyone else on this earth because we deal with your earth every day. Dear Lord, we're hurting, dear Lord. We can't help what's happened to us.
It's hard not to be moved by the cries of the people who put food on your table. On your side, I'm Andrew Mobley.
Drew, thanks so much. And in a joint statement, Senators John Boozman and Tom Cotton, along with Congressman Rick Crawford, write that they are happy to continue to hear from farmers around northeast Arkansas and promise that relief is coming. They also say, we are proud to have delivered multiple forms of key support and assistance that combined total over $80 billion since last December. These reforms and investments, once implemented, will help address economic challenges and natural disasters to preserve family farms.
Farmers in crisis align way out the door of the Woods Chapel Baptist Church in Brookland as hundreds of farmers from not only northeast Arkansas, but from across the state came to voice their concerns about the current state of farming. Representatives from U.S. Congressman Rick Crawford, U.S. Senator Tom Cotton, and U.S. Senator John Boozman's offices were in attendance to hear those concerns. Among those farmers in attendance was a farmer in Woodruff County, Chris King. He told me this was his 39th harvest, and he has never seen it as bad as this.
And I've never been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on.
For King, the main problem starts with the fact that they can't sell for profit.
I just would like to see somebody help us get our markets back. We need our exports, and we just need to be paid for what we do. And that's not happening. And we're in real trouble.
Right now, Arkansas farmers are staring down a crisis that feels impossible to crawl out of. Farm income has collapsed nationwide, dropping more than $60 billion in just 2 years. And here in Arkansas, farmers say 1/3 of their operations won't survive past next spring. Costs for fuel, fertilizer, and equipment keep climbing, but the prices they get for their crops keep sinking. Banks don't want to lend, insurance doesn't cover the gap, and the so-called safety nets from Washington are years away. Families that have worked the same land for generations are now selling off acres, filing for bankruptcy, or walking away from everything their parents and grandparents built. Every farm that disappears takes more than food off the table. It takes with it jobs, tax revenue, schools, and hospitals. It hollows out entire communities. But the pain isn't only financial, it's political. Many farmers voted for policies that promised to put America first and clamp down on immigration. Now, they're stuck with the consequences. Nearly 40% of America's farm labor force is undocumented, and when those workers were pushed out, the fields were left empty. Harvests are literally rotting because there aren't enough hands to bring food from the ground to your plate. The H-2A visa program is supposed to fix that, but it's slow, expensive, and broken. That's why farmers are now calling the labor shortage their #1 crisis, yet it's one they helped create with their own votes. And if that wasn't enough, trade tensions with China, Arkansas's third largest export market, are choking off billions in farm exports. Tariffs mean soybeans, rice, and poultry are piling up unsold. When you stack that on top of high interest rates and labor shortages, you have a perfect storm. This is how a state that feeds America starts to break down. It's not just their problem, it's yours too. Higher grocery prices, less food security, and more imports from overseas. Arkansas farmers are the canary in the coal mine, and right now that canary is gasping. If farmers fail, America fails. And make no mistake, they are failing in real time.
Lose 25 or 30% of the farmers in this country if they don't do something. It has to be done, and it's not just here. It's everywhere.
Farmers are making a cry for help before it's too late. Countless farmers gathered to speak to representatives of Arkansas leaders to share the urgency that something needs to be done about the current state of farming.
Tariffs are punishing farmers in ways few people are willing to talk about. Arkansas depends on exports of soybeans, rice, and poultry, with China as one of its biggest markets. But the latest round of tariffs has slammed that door shut. Farmers are left with overflowing silos, sinking crop prices, and no real alternatives. Corporations and policymakers talk about finding new markets, but those deals take years to build, and farmers don't have years. Tariffs were sold as protection for American producers, but they've turned into economic weapons aimed at the very people who grow the food. What looks like a political win in Washington translates to despair in the Delta, where families are being forced to sell land for pennies because global markets they once relied on are gone. At the same time, corporations are exploiting the chaos. Large agribusinesses have the resources to shift supply chains overseas, to play the trade game, and to wait out downturns, while family farmers carry the losses alone. Consolidation in the industry means a handful of companies control processing, storage, and distribution. So independent farmers are stuck selling at prices dictated by giants who always put shareholders first. Corporations treat food as a commodity for profit, while farmers provide a necessity for survival, yet the system rewards the former and punishes the latter. As corporations expand and family farms vanish, America's food security erodes. This isn't just about economics. It's about whether the nation keeps control of its own food or surrenders it to boardrooms that value dividends over people.
44% of farm workers in the United States today do not have green cards and are working illegally. More than 50% of the farm workers in New York State are working illegally. United States farms contribute over $1 trillion to the U.S. economy. You want to know the fastest way to a recession and everybody eating canned tuna and Chips Ahoy cookies? Deport all the undocumented immigrants, including half the farm workers in the United States.
Ladies and gentlemen, Arkansas, much like every other state, is on the verge of agricultural disaster. We need to come together and send aid to Arkansas before they collapse. But before we do, I want to know how they voted. Interessante. Well, folks, nothing to see here. This place got 100% what it voted for. And that's it.
So the people who say no handouts just lined up for a handout. Now tell me why farmers in Arkansas are standing outside with their hands out again, begging Uncle Sam for money. See, when it's regular people struggling, rent too high, groceries too ridiculous, can't afford health care, the answer is always from these people, stop complaining, stop asking for handouts, and pull yourself up by your bootstrap. Farmers in Arkansas are crying out to the feds for stimulus money like it's open mic night. And look, I get it, because times are hard everywhere. When you plant your crops, raise your cattle, take on the risks of farming, wasn't that a personal business decision? So why is it on me and you to make sure that that decision keeps paying out? Because see, when you and I make bad decisions, government doesn't cut us a check to make it right for us. Now, let's connect the dots here a little bit. These are the same people voting for the same politicians who say government is the problem. Yet as soon as the tractors stop running and their profits dry up, government magically turns into a solution for them. Ain't that funny and ironic? The question is, do we owe farmers any help? Or do they need to practice what they preach? Figure it out. Tighten that belt. Leave taxpayers out of it. Because last I checked, it's really not our problem to fix somebody else's gamble.
The Trump administration is cutting support for the Rural Energy for America program. And it's a program that has helped thousands of farmers over the last 2 decades cut energy costs by installing solar energy and renewables. It delivered $1.2 billion in grants and $2.5 billion in loan guarantees for rural projects since 2014. 70% of that money was for solar energy, and it's helped rural America actually develop renewable energy and cut costs and increase available income for rural Americans. But now the Trump administration is gutting the program. On August 19th, Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins announced that, quote, USDA will no longer fund taxpayer dollars for solar panels on productive farmland or allow solar panels manufactured by foreign adversaries to be used in USDA projects. This is a huge loss for rural America. Farmers have been using this program to advance renewable energy and actually achieve cost savings. And the Trump administration is scrapping all of that. According to Canary Media, the program comes at little cost to the federal government since the loans are usually repaid without the financial institution needing to tap the guarantee. So it was a win for the government too. And I think this example is really interesting because we see so often that the conservatives are saying that they care about middle America, that rural America has been forgotten, and the Republican Party is the ones who will fight for them in Washington. And actions like this show that the Republicans and any elected official who is bought and paid for by corporations is willing to sell out the middle class, the working class people of this country, middle America, rural America, urban areas, everywhere. These are elected officials who care about advancing their own agenda. In this case, that is maintaining reliance on oil and gas and supporting the oil and gas industry over solar, which is far cheaper, far more beneficial for these farmers, and better for the climate and local environments. So if you care about rural America, vote for officials who are not bought and paid for by corporations.